Well, no hat today. We've actually had, I think, 4.5 days of solid torrential rain, and I mean serious rain. Thankfully, there's not been too much flooding. So, came down to the plot this morning, had a look around just to see what the damage was. I'll take you with me. So it looks like the pumpkin beds have survived. One or two of the pins have started to work out, but the good thing is that this membrane stayed on. It was absolutely soaking in here, so it's drained away pretty quickly actually, which is a surprise. But we have had a lot of wind with it, so maybe that dried a bit of it out. The pond filled up, and it's like having a change of water, which is no bad thing for a pond, I don't think, especially as it's rain. And along the beds, it's a bit squelchy underfoot, but not too bad. In here we've had, well, a bit of a collapse by the look of it. Wow, yeah, a lot of a collapse. So all these sides have come apart. This is where I'm gonna start work today, so it's not a problem. Lucky the wheelbarrow was in place, otherwise I think that would have come over as well. So I have a bit of a tidy up in there later. I've noticed this holly tree has started to sprout quite a lot, so I've worked quite hard to keep that sort of under control and a decent shape, so I'm going to continue on with that. But no real problems down here, I don't think. A few stray pots, but that's not a big issue. And down in the nursery area, where I've got lots of plants now, I think I'm going to have to get on and get my pots in, because, well, the first frost is due. We were advised this morning on the television that it looks like the first frost might come tonight. So anything that a frost is going to harm needs to be solved. Right, let's get on. Well, a big thank you to those of you that have flagged to me that Real Seeds have got Latah tomato in stock. And as soon as I saw that, I got on and ordered myself a packet. And I'm still saving seeds. I'm still going to save the Latah tomato seeds, but I've started the process. But it's going to be really interesting to grow both and just see whether there was any cross-pollination in the ones that I saved, or whether in fact they're as vigorous. So that's a bit of an experiment to come sometime next year. So looking forward to that, but thank you for everybody who flagged at that. Right, let's get a bit tidy in here. I think I'm going to take these crates or pallets out because they're just going to get in the way, I think. And of course that plastic one, which unfortunately is plastic but will fight against the elements, I'm going to use that in my construction down in the nursery area, and this one too. And the wood pallets that I've got here, they really only last 2 or 3 years before they need to be replaced because they just rot. Right, let's get this one out. Okay, 2 down. Oh, I tell you what, it's really like a quagmire down here. And I'm going to choose where I work today because it is so wet. I don't really think I'm going to have much chance to move wheelbarrows of compost across the plot because I'm just going to churn it up. The grass being long is really because, well, I didn't cut it. But I'm looking at it now thinking maybe it was advantageous because it's certainly going to mean that it wears a bit better. Right, let's get these plates out as well. I think what I'm going to end up doing, whoops, is moving the compost away from the couch grass or couch grass that's embedded in it and get it into this empty bay that I've cleared, and at least that way I'll have done the job of separating it from the couch grass, and then I can decide whether I can move it or not. So let's carry on. These covers have nearly had their day, but I'm going to do my best to carry on using them in the interest of not putting them into the refuse system. Right, I'm beginning to see the wood for the trees. I've not had a call this year from the man who supplies my horse manure, which I'm getting a bit nervous about, but he works at a garage. In fact, he owns a repair garage, and my car needs some brakes sorting out, so I think I might be seeing him this week. I think if my supply of horse manure did end, I don't think it would be the end of the world, because the beds now are so established on the plot that I really only need a fairly thin layer on top. And I think probably the compost that I could generate myself from the various things I take from the plot during the course of the year would actually be enough. Now, I'm not going to say no to all the extra, but it's a plan B if anything did go wrong. Right, get my wheelbarrow sorted. Now, these stakes I've got here are ancient, so I'm going to use them. I've noticed this morning, after the really strong winds that we had, that I've got a few things that are starting to go over, and I mean blow over. And one of them is one of the large cows, so I think it's time to put something in fairly meaty and strap it against it. Okay, well, there's no putting this off. It's time to separate this compost from the couch grass. Now, I have got a layer on top, which is already what I separated from this one, so I'm just going to skim that off first, and then I'll get into the worst bit, which hopefully will be the last time I have to do this, if my plan of reworking the nursery area comes off. I'm already starting to get some. So I'll get my pot ready and we'll get on with it. I'm going to give myself a bit of a break from the physical for a bit and just get this bed finally weeded. There's next to nothing in here, but the next step will be to put fresh compost on it, and so I just want to make sure that I'm ready to do that. This is where I grew Bedfordshire Champion and had some white rot. I was interested when I was ordering my seeds earlier today from Real Seeds. I only ordered a couple of packets because it's pretty early, but I thought I'd just take a look at the onions and see what there was. And the onion that I ordered was Globe, and I was looking for Globo, and I'm beginning to wonder whether I just misread Globo, or whether in fact they don't have Globo anymore and they've replaced it with Globe. I don't know, perhaps I got Globo from another provider, but if you can confirm that there is a Globo, I'd appreciate it. Right, so there's next to nothing in here, and that's good news. We'll just get the few odd bits of weed out that I can see, and then I'll cover this back over purely to keep the cats off it, and that'll be good for a small or thin layer of compost. That looks pretty much there actually. Right, I get this covered back on, and I'm hoping that over the next couple of days the ground will dry out, and that will enable me to get on. Okay. The other beds are a bit more challenging because there's still things in them. So I'm going to just sort out this one beetroot bed, because half of it at least has got nothing on it, and I'll just stop those from growing, and then I think I'm heading down into the bottom ones. Right. Now these nets, they do blow off during the winter months if I'm not careful, but I try and weight them down, and it prevents it happening too often. There's been a few comments recently in the comment section in my videos about gardeners and plastic, which is very topical at this very time when world leaders are meeting to decide how they slow the impact on the climate. And I think these plastic nets are possibly contributing if you throw them away. So keeping them for a long period of time and looking after them is really important. Right, let's have a look at this one. Now this is my fault for not anchoring this net down very well when I did the beetroot harvesting last, but just shows you how they do blow off eventually. Right, let's get this off. And we've got a pretty big dock leaf in here which needs to come out, and some stinging nettles. So I think I'm going to get my trowel, because what you don't want to do, particularly with stinging nettles, is leave lots of roots in the ground. I've also got some strawberry plants in here, which, I don't know, strawberries last time I did grow them in this bed were a bit of a disaster because the slugs had them. So I think they're going to come out too. Right, let's get that trowel. Well, there was a bit of impromptu harvesting went on then to get those weeds out. Got 4 nice beetroot, and they'll go in the pot for tea. Well, no dig of course doesn't mean no dig. As you've seen, no dig still requires an awful lot of physical effort, preparing compost, moving it around. And for any of you who are watching my videos for the first time thinking, how mad am I to be trying to get my compost separated from this couch grass? Well, you're right. And in my last video I got the solution together, which I'll be carrying out very shortly. So if you want to see that, carry on watching my videos, which upload every Wednesday and every Sunday at 8 PM. I hope you've enjoyed today. It's been good physical effort for me, and this time of year to get this beautiful autumn sunshine is fantastic. So why not subscribe and like, and as I say, click on that bell to get my updates. Have a good week. Diolch yn fawr.